Hi everyone, this is Sarah of the 𝙂𝙧𝙞𝙣𝙀, and I've been getting a lot of questions lately about what grain grinder I use, what grain I use for grinding, how much grain do I grind, how do I keep my grain, how do I store the flour once I've ground it, all kinds of different questions, and I thought it would be helpful if I just briefly took you through the grain routine that I follow in my own home. Of course, doing what I do here may not work for you. Feel free to change it any way it works for you and your family, but I'm going to just show you what I do. First of all, I'm going to show you my grain grinder. Now this is probably one of the oldest grain grinders in the world today that's still in use. This Champion juicer is at least 30 years old, because when we bought it, it was already 10 or 15 years old. And I've had it a very, very long time. You can see it's kind of yellowed. There's paint coming off it. It's chipped away. But the great thing about the Champion juicer is it's got an amazing motor in it. And I've heard that they come through house fires and still work quite well. So I chose this for its durability, not for its beauty. And I bought the grain grinder attachment to go along with the Champion juicer, and I got this for about $50 brand new out of the box off of eBay. So all told, I think I bought this grain grinder for less than $100. And it's been fantastic. I've used it for years. It works wonderfully well. And so I would encourage you that if you want to get started grinding your own fresh flour, you don't need to spend several hundreds of dollars on a brand new grain grinder. There's plenty out there used that you can find on eBay. You can get an old juicer like I've got here, a Champion juicer, and get just the grain mill attachment. There's a lot of different ways you can approach this, but the bottom line is it doesn't have to be pretty. When I'm not using this thing, it's under the counter. Believe me, I don't keep it up here. It's too ugly. So I only bring it out once a month to grind my flour, and then boom, it's gone. So you don't have to get something that's pretty. Just get something that's functional, that's going to last you a long time and do the job. So there's my wonderful grain grinder. Now, I wanted to show you what grain looks like. I've got here some organic white wheat, and I've got on my right hand, I've got a bowl of organic spelt. And you can see how the grains themselves look quite different. And if you went ahead and got hard white wheat and hard red wheat, they would be different again. Wheat looks different. Each type of wheat looks different. And in my home, I use the soft white, and that's for waffles and pancakes and the like. And for spelt, I like to make other types of baked goods, more like breads and specialty breads like banana bread and pumpkin bread and that type of thing. But you find what works for you. Some people really, really enjoy red wheat. Some people really prefer hard white, and you can find which ones work for you. But these are the two I use in my home. And let me take you over here to these 6-gallon buckets. Over here I've got my 6-gallon bucket of soft white, and over here I've got my bucket of, actually this is my soft white, that's my organic spelt. And these two 6-gallon buckets I buy from my Bread Becker's co-op. Bread Becker's is all over North America, maybe around the world, I'm not sure. So go to breadbeckers.com and find the grain co-op that's nearest you. I get these two 6-gallon buckets for about $100, including shipping, give or take. And I keep these in my garage. They have special gamma lids on them. I'll show you what a gamma lid looks like. You have to, the first time you buy your grain bucket, you'll have to buy a gamma lid to go along with it, okay? And I think these are $8 or $10, but buy them. They're so worth it, because the lids that come on these buckets are unmanageable. Once you get them off the first time, you're not going to ever want to deal with them again. So get a gamma lid to go on top of your bucket. And you can see here, get a different color for each type. I have white for this one, and I've got yellow for my soft white. And you just spin it on there, and you can tighten it up real well. And these are in my hot garage in Florida. It's humid and hot, and it keeps the wheat perfectly. And then I transfer it into this little glass jar, whatever wheat I'm using right now. I've got spelt in here now, and I keep this in my kitchen for grinding, and then when it gets empty, I'll go out to the garage and refill it from these buckets. These two buckets last me 18 months. For a family of 5, that's pretty good. If you're using a lot more grain than that, you're probably eating too much grains in your diet, I would say, just kind of a guess, unless you make your own bread, because I do not make my own sandwich bread. I buy, and this is why I haven't done a sourdough video. You're probably wondering, why has the Healthy Home Economist not done a sourdough video, for heaven's sake? I've done a sprouted one, I've done soaking, I've not done sourdough, and the reason is because I've done sourdough and I hate doing sourdough, okay? It's a pain in the neck and takes a lot of time. That's just my own opinion. Yes, I can do it, and probably someday I'll do a video on it, but I don't do it in my own home, and because it's really a pain in the neck. I used to do it years ago and I could not buy a good sourdough loaf. Nowadays you can buy a good sourdough loaf, and my philosophy is we traditional cooking moms have too much to do in the kitchen already, and if you can buy something that's reasonably priced and a good quality and is made properly, then just buy it. And that's why I buy my own sourdough loaf now. I don't make it anymore. So I buy the Berlin Bakery sourdough spelt bread, and the only ingredients in it are whole spelt flour, water, and sea salt. And that's the only ingredients that should ever be in a bread that you buy, okay? It's just the flour, water, and salt. That tells you that the loaf has risen without yeast, okay? And a sourdough, a true sourdough loaf, rises slowly in a low heat oven without heat. Without yeast, okay? So that is what tells you that it's a true sourdough loaf. It's also really heavy. Sourdough bread is like a brick, okay? So this is a really good loaf that I buy from the store. I also buy a sprouted spelt bread from the store. Sprouted breads, you can use yeast to rise them. Those are okay, but for a sourdough, you should never have yeast in a sourdough loaf. If you've got yeast in your sourdough loaf, it's not sourdough, it's fake sourdough. Okay, so now we've gone over that. Now I'm going to show you what I do. I've got my buckets of wheat here, and this is what I grind. Every month, I bring this ugly thing out from under the cabinets, and I grind 2 big bags of flour. 1 spelt and 1 soft white. And this one is not quite full yet. I need to grind a little bit more, and I'll show you. I'll turn on my grinder here in a minute. You'll need earplugs when I turn it on. It's really loud. But this is what I use every month, and I grind this and then I stick it in the freezer. And you can use freshly ground flour right out of the freezer. It doesn't clump up, so I recommend you keep it in the freezer to preserve that nutrient freshness rather than keep it in the refrigerator. And this lasts me 1 month. So I grind once a month. I grind this amount, and that's all I do with my grain grinding. I make it as simple and convenient and effective as possible. I don't like to waste my time in the kitchen. I've got too much to do anyway, and so that's how I approach grains in my house. And I'll turn this on just real quick, and you can see what this thing sounds like. What I do, when you grind flour, it gets all dusty. So what I like to do is put a bag right underneath this spigot, and I hold it so no dust goes everywhere. I don't grind straight into a bowl like some of these grinders. So, you need to get back. So let me turn this on just real quick, and you can see the flour going into the bag. You can see by grinding this way directly into the bag, I don't get this flour dust everywhere. And the flour goes straight in, and then when I'm done, zip it up, I double bag it, stick it straight in the freezer. How easy is that? I hope that showing you my grain routine has helped and gives you some ideas for how to effectively handle the grain process in your own home. This is Sarah, the Healthy Home Economist, and I'm wishing you all the best in the kitchen.